It's championship week here in the 302. Welcome into Delaware Live Sports Weekly. I'm here today joined by our crew of 302 experts. They've seen almost every team, almost every game, and every sport here this fall season. Joined by Glenn Frazier, Mike Lang, Jason Winchell, and Benny Mitchell. We are crowned our state champions across the board almost here in our fall season. We've got boys soccer champions. We've got field hockey, volleyball, cross country. And now we look ahead to this weekend, a two-part Delaware Football State Championship upcoming here on Friday and Saturday. We are here tonight to preview some of this upcoming championship action. We'll start with our Friday's matchups here, just start in totality. We'll have to talk about the Unified Championships, talk about Sally's Cape, and then obviously Caravel, Archmere, and Tatnall and Charter. So a lot to get into, guys, before we dive into some of these matchups. Just how we doing on a Wednesday. It's been a fun fall season coming to its conclusion this weekend, Glenn.
Well, let me tell you, the weather was great all regular season. And then when you turn the calendar to postseason time, somebody opens the freezer. I mean, good Lord. We did the Caravel game, the semifinal game in Bear, and Bob Peoples Stadium. Pat Gariantes couldn't handle it.
When
we got done,
he still hasn't recovered, obviously.
We got done. I think he took me to commercial, and before we came back to do the post-game show, he was in the parking lot. But no, man, it's a great time of the year, and looking forward to it again. The championship's coming up on Friday night and Saturday back at Delaware Stadium at the Tub.
That's right, back at the Tub. And Jason and Mike and myself, we had the luxury, at least at Abyssinia Stadium, the visitors box has a little bit of that heater going. So the doors are open. We had a little bit of that heat. It helped out a little bit this weekend. But, Mike, great to have you back here on a Wednesday.
Thanks, man. You know, we were at Archmere on Saturday. Not only no heat in the press box, we weren't in the press box. We were outside in the bleachers. I want to thank Dave Oswinkle and Nick Sand and the guys up at Archmere. They really, but not too bad.
Jason, how you feeling here? Spent the fall in the bunker, but now not a lot of numbers to crunch. We've got some championship matchups. How you feeling ahead of this weekend?
Yeah, I'm feeling good. It's going to be a great weekend of football, and I'm excited for the championships.
We've got some great matchups, and Benny making your way back up north here
That's
a little
right.
bit for this championship preview
getting
show.
back to the weather, for the quarterfinal game, I was able to channel my inner John Wells and wear khaki shorts to the Central Archmere game. I didn't do it last week. He did. I didn't. But now I'm just getting the fresh. This cold, I should be indoors doing wrestling. So
That's right. Exactly right.
Yeah. But it's been a fantastic year, and it's going to be December weather, which could play a big role in these games on Friday and Saturday. I mean, the ball's brand new balls are going to be slicker. They're going to be cold. And we're supposed to get some rain, so weather could play a factor in this weekend.
We got some great matchups coming up. It all starts Friday night with Unified Caesar Rodney versus Newark Charter. That game kicking off at 5 p.m. And then after that will be your 3A state championship game, Sally's and Cape Henlope. And then that take us to Saturday. Some matinee action here starting in the early afternoon with a 1A state championship between Tatnall and Charter. Kickoff set for 12 o'clock there. And then 3 p.m., your Class 2A championship to put a bow on championship weekend, Caravel and Archmere. So some great matchups. We're going to hit all of them. And let's go ahead and dive right in. And Glenn, let's start with this Unified Flag Football Championship. That's going to kick off championship weekend at Delaware Stadium Friday night. And two teams that we had a chance to check out last year.
Yeah, rematch of last year's title game. And the most exciting game of the whole weekend, the whole day. Overtime. And Coach Sky Boris and the Caesar Rodney Riders came out a winner. I don't think anybody really understood what the overtime parameters were, how it would be decided. Yeah, but then we came to find out it was total yardage in the overtime period.
Right.
Yeah, and Caesar Rodney won that by the slimmest. I think they had to get a sack or they a TFL or something on the last play to win by that criteria. So hopefully it's just an exciting game as it was last year.
Yeah, and let's take a look at the tail of the tape, if you will, here. And let's start with Caesar Rodney. Caesar Rodney leads the series 4-1. You take at some of these numbers, and a special shout out to John Busby and all the great work he does. CR, the deepest team in the state, led by a well-rounded offense that can attack you on the ground and through the air. And we see how important that was in last year's championship game. Defense, very aggressive, can create a lot of turnovers. You love to see that if you're looking to take home a championship. points scored per game, over 39 points per game for the Caesar Rodney team, allowing just 17.7. So they're winning by a margin average of over 20 points a game. So they are locked and loaded heading in to this championship action. Some players to watch. Number 2, Alquan Murphy Sims. Number 3, Braden Robinson. Number 11, Edric Seth. And number 12, Cam Hewish, the Dover transfer. So they've got a lot of talent. Again, 39.7 points per game. So that offense can really get it going. The defense has been great all year.
Wait a minute, we had a transfer in Unified?
That's right. Hey, transfer portal is
CR
all over, baby. That's right. Hit the portal, and again, pays off for them. They're back in the state championship game. And
Nick, I want to know, when this kid left over, did he put out an Instagram post that said, "I'd like to thank my teammates"? With that said, I've decided to enter the portal.
That's right. Again, it's a rematch, so you know these two teams know each other.
Yeah.
So let's talk a little bit about now the Patriots from Newark Charter. They're up over 40 points per game. So both of these offenses can really let it rip. The defense allowing 24.5. Newark Charter relies mainly on their passing offense. Played a very disciplined defense on that side of the ball. They've been successful by limiting opposing teams from getting the big plays. So if you can limit those big opportunities for opposing teams, you're going to reel off some victories, and they certainly have this season. Those players to watch: Marvin Hannon, number 5, Alexander Burrows, number 9, and number 19, Luke Hasselton. So, guys, it's a rematch, and what do you maybe look for in a rematch game? What kind of is different about that, I guess I should say, when you see a team for a second time, again, with everything on the line? This is going to be another fun one here to kick us started our championship.
I'm going to go with Alquan Murphy Sims will be a wrestler on the Caesar Rodney wrestling team. So, I mean, that's an advantage right there. And in the words of the late Mike Schoenwolf, go Riders.
It's going to be
I think you want to take the over in this game, too, huh?
Yeah.
It's always fun when you get two offenses as dynamic as these two in championship matchups. So, again, fireworks. Most likely what we're in for at 5 o'clock to kick off the championship weekend. It's going to be a fun one. Not sure, should we go around and make some picks for this final? Benny, you already gave Caesar Rodney.
Go Riders, man.
Go Riders. Jason, who you going at with this in this unified championship game?
I'll go Patriots.
Patriots, 1-1, Mike?
Yeah, I think Newark Charter has revenge factor on their side.
Revenge factor, 2-1. Glenn, what about you?
Well, I'll even it up. I'll go with the Riders
2-2.
to defend their title.
And as the show host, no picks for me. So we'll leave it up at 2-2 there. It's going to be a fun one on Friday, kicking off again at 5 o'clock p.m.
A lot of bias above the ditch.
Yeah, and below.
They didn't have a reason. They just picked Newark Charter. A lot of bias above the ditch.
Hey, like I said, a lot of fun. We're all excited for this one. Offense galore. We'll see which defense makes the big player, steps up, can create that big turnover on Friday at 4 o'clock. Again, Newark Charter and Caesar Rodney, a rematch of last year's state championship. Right back at it here again in 2023. So we're going to take our first break of the show. When we come back, we're going to dive in. It's going to be our Class 1A championship breakdown. Tatnall and
Told. Delaware Live. Locally owned, community-based news. Free to every reader, because Delaware's future belongs to all of us. Quality journalism we can trust to help us take on the day. Delaware Live. Our state, our news, our home. The things that matter most happen right in our own backyard. Our neighbors, our schools, the places we go, and the people we know.
Your home, your community. It's not just where you live, it's where you belong. At Dover Federal Credit Union, we understand what it means to be local. We started here, and we're not going anywhere. We're as local as it gets, and we like it that way. We're not just a financial institution, we are the local credit union that you can trust. Local people, local decisions. Dover Federal Credit Union.
High Five Hospitality, founded in 2004 when three guys teamed up to introduce the Buffalo Wild Wings franchise to Delaware. To date, they operate 8 Buffalo Wild Wings in Delaware and Maryland. Also the Stone Balloon and Limestone Barbecue. And let's not forget Expectation and 5 Jersey Mikes throughout Delaware. High Five Hospitality's mission is to operate 5 brands that serve high-quality products with exceptional hospitality. High Five Hospitality, founded in 2004 when three guys teamed up to introduce the Buffalo Wild Wings franchise to Delaware. To date, they operate 8 Buffalo Wild Wings in Delaware and Maryland. Also the Stone Balloon and Limestone Barbecue. And let's not forget Eggspectation and 5 Jersey Mikes throughout Delaware. High Five Hospitality's mission is to operate 5 brands that serve high-quality products with exceptional hospitality.
And welcome back inside DLS Weekly, live from our Buffalo Wild Wings Middletown location. It is championship week here in the fall. Nick Allison Jr. alongside Glenn Frazier, Mike Lang, Jason Winchell, and Benny Mitchell. We are here ready to break down some games, and it all starts, we're going to start, I guess I should say, with our Class 1A championship between the Tatnall Hornets and the Charter Force of Wilmington. So, guys, who would have thought these two teams meeting up here a little bit further down the road, this time with a championship on the line at Delaware Stadium. Tatnall coming into this contest 11-1, led, of course, by one of the most dynamic players in the state of Delaware. That's Rayshawn Lamons, help leading the Hornets. And then you look over at Charter School of Wilmington, 9-3. They are getting hot late. Again, struggled towards the tail end of that regular season. They dropped 2 in a row. They end it with a win against AI, 42-0. And then they have rolled so far their 2 first games in the playoffs, and they find themselves again in the championship at the Tub on Saturday afternoon. So, guys, what are we looking at when we look forward to this matchup? Class 1A, Charter School of Wilmington, and Tatnall. What stands out to you, Glenn, about these two teams, and they're going to get together this weekend?
Got to broadcast the Tatnall Indian River semifinal game on Saturday, and it was the first time, because I've been doing mostly 3A games all year, that I really got to see those two play. Indian River has a pedigree. I mean, history, they've been in a lot of playoffs. I think it was their 18th or 19th coming in. They hadn't won since 2012, so it was their best season in a while. I think Tatnall, we had them ranked pretty much number 1 all year long. And the reason was Rayshawn Lamons. He's just something else. He dominated that game until he sprained his ankle. So the key for the championship game Saturday is how healthy is he going to be? Did that thing swell up during the week? We'll see. If he's at least 75 or 80%, it's going to be tough for the Force. The Force has a good defense, but they don't score points. They're one of the lowest scoring teams in the state. They played the 2 playoff games. They scored 10 points in both of them. Now, they shut out Polytech, and they gave up 8 points to St. E's in the first round. But I don't see that they can score with Lamons and Tatnall, especially if he's on the field. And, man, when he's on the field, he's pretty special.
Yeah, we had a chance to check him out, guys, twice, I believe, last year, and Mike, Jason, and myself at least, and so dynamic. We had their playoff game last year against Seaford as well at Abyssinia Stadium. Again, one of the most dynamic, quick, on both sides of the ball, even playing some quarterback for Tatnall now, too, can even throw it a little bit. So he's going to be ready to go. And when you look at this game, guys, from what Glenn said, from that perspective, it's going to be 2 teams trying to win in 2 different ways, right? As Glenn said, Charter's going to want to monkey this thing up, play, an ugly game, come out with a low-scoring win. Tatnall, they've been scoring in the 40s and 50s all season long, so they're going to want to make this thing a shootout, and that might be tough for the Force. What do you think, Mike? What are you looking at in terms of this matchup?
Well, like Glenn said, I think Rayshawn Lamons' ankle is really the key.
Yeah.
Charter defense, I think, had 5 or 6 shutouts this year. I think they had 5 in a row at one point. So they're really good. But the question is really good enough to stop Lamons? On the other end, they're going to need Roman Paoli and Brady Arch to really connect. And so those 2 are the key in their offense. Tatnall, they play offense. They also play some defense too. I think they're going to come into this game as a favorite for a reason. Glenn, you said last week Quinn DeVere played a little bit for Tatnall, so they may not need Lamons to run thing at quarterback. I mean, Quinn DeVere may just have to take the ball and hand it off to him. It's not just Lamons. They got Micah Stamper. They do have some other weapons on that team, although
Gino Greer.
Yeah, Lamons is definitely the straw that stirs the drink over there. I think it's a great contrast in styles, and it should be a great game. And I think it's just awesome that 2 teams that really weren't competitive in the old 2-division setup. And now we're looking at one of them's going to be a first-time champion, and it's going to be an exciting day for Delaware High School football on Saturday down there at UD, and I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be a good one.
Jason, Benny, what do you think about this one when you look at Charter and Tatnall? Jason, is this what you maybe saw at the beginning of the year? These 2 teams battling out for a state championship. How surprised are you, if at all, that these are the 2 teams that will be battling for the championship on Saturday?
I thought for sure. I thought this could be the year for Tatnall, just because we've seen their growth since it's gone to a 1A system. The last couple of years, they lost to the semifinals. 1 year to Laurel, 1 year to St. Elizabeth's, who were in the championship games the first two years in this new class system. Laurel moved up, and St. E's struggled this year, so it was a chance to see a couple, like you said, new teams in it. But I thought at the beginning of the year, I think I've had Tatnall ranked first all year in my Super Sevens. And Charter plays great defensively. They're going to have to find something offensively. And the first time they played this year, Le Mans ran for a lot of big plays. They have to limit that.
52 to nothing.
Yep. So I think Charter's got to make adjustments, and they did the first time they played Polytech. They lost 40 to nothing,
right?
And they beat them 10-0 last week. So they made the adjustments. Can they make the adjustments and find a way to slow this Tatnall offense down that puts up a lot of points per game?
They say Benny defense wins championships. They're really going to have to show up for the force on staff if they want to stop this.
Absolutely. There's also, we're not going to get a Laurel St. Elizabeth 3 out of this. They played the first two. But hearing Le Mans may be injured reminds you a little bit of the Laurel St. Elizabeth, where Benson got injured that first year, and Laurel took advantage of it. And then the next year they shut them down. Tatnall, I mean, probably the last time Tatnall got this much media hype was when Bill Berge was the head coach. But I got to see them play last year down at Laurel, and they tested Laurel for 3 quarters, and then the size of Laurel just took it, just put it away. Charter, I don't even know, see on our network, albeit very dark and was hard to see with the portable lights. But they got some athletes too, and Joey Jones last year said he talked about how much they were scoring. He said that's not. He compares the state's championship to the Super Bowl. You don't see a lot of blowouts in the Super Bowl, and other than last year's 3A game, our state championship games have been relatively close because it's a championship mentality, and teams seem to step up.
It's going to be a fun one. Again, this one coming at you Saturday afternoon. A 12 o'clock kickoff for Tatnall and the Charter Force. Again, a rematch of that game that took place back in early November. So Charter looking for revenge. Tatnall looking to put a bow on a phenomenal 11-1 season so far. Who's going to be our Class 1A state champs? And we'll find out on Saturday afternoon. We're going to take another break. When we come back, it's time to talk about our Class 2A championship. Caravel trying to put together another fantastic season, maybe without a loss as they head into the state championship game. But they got a tough and seasoned team that's kind of been there before. Just a few years ago, the Archmere Hawks were state champs, undefeated, took a trip to the White House. So this one is going to be a good one. We'll talk about it after the break.
First State Orthopedics statewide has 29 physicians at 16 locations. Our physicians and staff provide both non-surgical as well as surgical treatment for almost all orthopedic conditions and injuries. We are specially trained in the current state-of-the-art techniques. We serve as team physician and orthopedic consultant for over 20 high schools, Wilmington University, and many local recreational and competitive leagues. Our doctors are readily available to the local emergency departments as well as medical aid units and urgent care centers for consultation and treatment. Call for an appointment today or visit us at firststateortho.com.
Welcome to Premier Physical Therapy and Sports Performance. We're a locally owned outpatient physical therapy practice with convenient locations in all 3 counties in Delaware. At Premier, we have experienced physical therapists with advanced credentials, but their hospitality, passion, and enthusiasm is what makes the difference for you. Find our convenient locations at premierptsp.com.
You may have tried physical therapy,
but have you tried Premier? Welcome to Premier Physical Therapy and Sports Performance. We're a locally owned outpatient physical therapy practice with convenient locations in all 3 counties in Delaware. At Premier, we have experienced physical therapists with advanced credentials, but their hospitality, passion, and enthusiasm is what makes the difference for you. Find our convenient locations at premierptsp.com.
You may have tried physical therapy,
But have you tried Premier? Welcome to Premier Physical Therapy and Sports Performance. We're a locally owned outpatient physical therapy practice with convenient locations in all 3 counties in Delaware. At Premier, we have experienced physical therapists with advanced credentials, but their hospitality, passion, and enthusiasm is what makes the difference for you. Find our convenient locations at premierptsp.com.
You may have tried physical therapy.
But have you tried Premier? Welcome to Premier Physical Therapy and Sports Performance. We're a locally...
Scott Kammerer, president of Sodell Concepts, the best restaurant group in the state, and we're inviting you to come join our team. Sodell Concepts is a growing hospitality company with 16 restaurants and a variety of other hospitality businesses, all located in beautiful southern Delaware. We have recently added many departments to our executive leadership team, including a training department, a property development department, and a construction department. We invite you to come live at the beach and work with a growing restaurant group with many opportunities to advance your career. Sodell Concepts Restaurant Group, come check us out.
And welcome back to DLS Weekly, live for Buffalo Wild Wings, Middletown. Nick Alessandrini, Glenn Frazier, Mike Lang, Jason Winchell, and Benny Mitchell. We've talked about Unified, we've talked about 1A, and now let's dive into our Class 2A championship battle between the 9-3 Archmere Hawks and the 12-0 Caravel Buccaneers, a game that we had the luxury of calling earlier in the season. It'll be another rematch, but this time all on the line for these two teams. The Caravel Buccaneers, guys, as we know, an undefeated regular season last year in 2022. That ended with a tough loss to Wilmington Friends in that state championship game, but the Bucs right back at it. Again, no losses for them this year in the regular season. They take a flawless record into Saturday's championship at Delaware Stadium. And then the Archmere Hawks, a little bit of a different story for Archmere this year. It was just a few years ago that they were undefeated, went on undefeated season, took home the state championship at Delaware Stadium. This year they started 1-3 and they able to get back on track. They're playing their best football right now. That's when you want to be hot, and they are heading in to Delaware Stadium on Saturday. So guys, where do you want to start with this one between Archmere and Caravel? 9-3, 12-0. Mike, you know both of these teams well. It's going to be a battle Saturday afternoon.
Yeah, well, I wasn't at that first game, but I did watch some of it on the 302 Sports.
Appreciate that.
I was at Dover that night with Glenn and Pat. You know, they obviously Archmere had a bunch of turnovers that night, and they
in
lost,
Caravel territory as well.
Yeah, they lost 28-2. Then the game was 14-2. Excuse me, late in the third quarter, and I talked to Coach John Belace yesterday. And he said, you know, we can play with these guys. We can't turn the ball over like we did the first time. They're tough. They got the 2 running backs, the Millers. But Archmere, like I said, they're playing well. They've been playing without Cole Finese the last 3 weeks because of a broken hand.
Oh, my goodness.
So they've been getting it done other ways. They've had P.J. Blessington running the ball and Ryan Hagenberg. Miles Kensky, the quarterback, can run. He throws when he has to. He can throw to Drew Duncan or Gavin Lee. He's got some other guys who can catch the ball. Brendan Burke. So it's a tough defense at Archmere. I think they're going to have their hands full on Saturday afternoon. But like Benny was saying while we were in commercial, you don't see a lot of blowouts in championship games, and I think this is going to be a really, really good game. I give Caravel a slight edge, but I've seen a lot of the Hawks this year, and I wouldn't doubt them at all.
And again, just to go back to that point, no Cole Finese. That is a huge loss for Archmere. I'm assuming he's not going to be active for this week, most likely.
Well, he played. He's
still kicking extra points, right?
He's kicking extra points and punting.
Yeah.
That was it.
That's a tough. Again, he's one of the better players on the field. That is a tough loss, at least hand-wise and arm-wise. At least he's being able to suit up. So that's a tough one for Archmere. But again, they've been playing great football, and Going to go at it with a tough Caravel team, Glenn, that's been hot. As we expected, Mike mentioned the Millers, two of the best, or maybe one of the best 1-2 punches at any level, at any class throughout the state of Delaware. And Truman Awerda now, I believe, coming into his third season as a starter, a little bit more seasoned as well in that offense. And again, it all starts in the trenches for Caravel with that fantastic defense as well.
And they got a great O-line for the Millers to run behind. Not only the O-line, but then you get Brock Rhodes, who can they'll put him in motion and let him be the lead blocker on those sweeps. They're so tough. We did the semifinal game with them and Howard, and when those two played earlier in the season, Howard probably gave Caravel their toughest test. They scored a bunch of points on them. I think it was like 54-36, something like that. And Matthews passed for like 350 yards, 5 touchdowns. They tightened some things up in their coverage. Talked to Coach Reed after the game, and he said, we looked at the film, and we just changed up our coverage packages on them, and it worked. And they turned Howard over. Every time Howard actually had almost as many total yards in that game as Caravel did, and yet they got shut out. It was 29-0. But Howard's problem was they got inside the 30, and they would turn it over. And Mike just alluded to the fact that was the Achilles heel for Archmere when they lost to him. You cannot turn the ball over. You have to play a near-perfect game against Caravel. They're that good. They have almost everybody coming back offensively. Jordan Miller is their feature running back. Craig will run it as a change of pace. Awerda, they don't really ask him to do too much. He threw 4 passes in that semifinal game. He completed 3 of them and 1 for a touchdown to Brock Rhodes. And then there's the X factor. Trey Hamlin.
He's the man.
5 punt returns for touchdowns this year. If you're Archmere going into that game, your number one priority has to be you do not punt the ball anywhere near Trey Hamlin.
Again, I've called a few of those games for Caravel. I think I've seen them 3 times this year at their place. The first game we did was a battle with them. He returned 2 of them in the same game. One ended up being the difference. It was that opener against Hodson. He returns 2 for touchdowns, wins them the game doing just that. He is their, as you mentioned, on their X factor, the receiver. They can get him the ball in the backfield. A Debo Samuel-esque player for that Caravel offense.
Yeah, definitely. He'll be one to keep an eye on, because if you key on Jordan Miller and just kind of concentrate on stopping him, a Hamlin or even a Brock Rhodes will hurt you.
And now, guys, also, Jason, this defense, Benny, I would say, at least that I've seen, the best defense in Class 2A all season long. I think they've got a better defense than some of these teams up in Class A, maybe if not most of them into this year. This defense has been fantastic. They force turnovers, as Glenn mentioned, and they are just hard to score on. They can bend, not break sometimes. They just don't give up points.
No, they don't. They really don't give up. And like you said, they sometimes will give up yards.
Yeah.
But when the opponent gets inside the red zone, they tighten up and they force turnovers, and that's going to be the key. Both Mike and Glenn said it. Archmere cannot turn the ball over if they want any chance to win this game, because that Caravel defense, that's what it does best.
Listen to this, Benny. Again, they haven't allowed more than 1 touchdown or 1 score in a game since the game against Howard on September 15th. Wow. So you think about that, it's been, they gave up 3 points, 2 points, 6 points, 8 points, 0, 8, 6, 7, 0. So that's their
it's
last
hard to
game
beat a team like that. Kind of reminds me a little bit of the 2016 Woodbridge team, where they had the offensive weapons, but they had a defense that I thought was as good as most of the 3A or the back Division I, Division II back then. And then here this game, 2 excellent coaching staffs.
Great coaches.
2 excellent coaching staffs.
Yep.
They're going to be Xing and Oing all week long. They're going to be watching film. And, I mean, this could be a kind of game. This could be our overtime game. I mean, this could be that close of a battle between these two. And, of course, you always, whenever you cover Archmere, you have to find out what an AWK is. I know it's a underwater flying penguin.
Right.
I just think the Miller brothers, and I don't know if Fenice is my son, I'm unwrapping that baby and one more time. Go get him one more time. Let's pad it up. I mean, that kid is special as well. I think this is going to be possibly not the most exciting game because there's not a lot of throwing here.
Yeah.
But the biggest physical battle this weekend.
And it's going to be a lot of fun. Again, this one on Saturday.
Another point, Nick, you were talking about their schedule. Caravel, they gave up over 40 points in the first 2 games they played this season. since then, from week 3 all the way out through the playoffs, they've only given up 40 points.
They're locked in. They are locked in again. Absolutely. And you have to think that tough loss to Friends. That game came down to the wire. End of the game, a tough loss for them last year. Got to be fresh on their minds as they get ready again to take an undefeated regular season.
And you hope if for them, if it's fresh on their mind, it's not heavy on their mind.
Exactly right. You got to find that balance, the motivation, but not, the other part of it. So again, Caravel trying to put together another big time and potentially undefeated season. It was the Archmere Hawks that did it just a few years ago. Caravel looking to do it again this year. That is going to be a fun one. Archmere and Caravel Saturday afternoon. We're going to take one more break. Here we come back. The Class 3A Championship breakdown. Salesianum, Cape Henlopen, Friday night. We will talk about it coming up next.
Wraps, signs, banners, and promotional items that can help your business stand out from the rest. Looking for an excellent way to convey a professional image? Customized promotional products are the perfect way to target new customers, increase employee retention, and boost your brand awareness. Let the professionals at Cassidy Graphics bring your advertising ideas to life. Give them a call today at 302-326-2412. Again, that number is 302-326-2412. Again, Cassidy Graphics brings your advertising ideas to life. Get the assurance that your HVAC system is what you need with Ambience. Ambience provides you with over 25 years of experience in the heating, cooling, and plumbing industry. The team at Ambience Heating and Air Conditioning provides high-quality residential HVAC installations, maintenance, and repairs in new and older homes in the Delaware, Maryland, Pennsylvania tri-state area. You may not realize it, but half of your energy costs go to heating and cooling. Make sure your energy dollars count and call us today for a free estimate. 302-239-HVAC. 302-239-4822.
Your community. It's not just where you live, it's where you belong. At Dover Federal Credit Union, we understand what it means to be local. We started here, and we're not going anywhere. We're as local as it gets, and we like it that way. We're not just a financial institution, we are the local credit union that you can trust. Local people, local decisions. Dover Federal Credit Union.
And welcome back live inside DLS Weekly, Middletown Buffalo Wild Wings location. This is my first time back here in a little bit, and they got a nice redone in here. Some new booths. We're now flipped on the other side here. Glenn Frazier, Mike Lang, Jason Winchell, and Benny Mitchell. And guys, here we go. The big one on Friday night. It's going to be a big weekend overall. We've got some fantastic matchups across the board. But now let's talk about Class 3A. The Cape Henlopen Vikings get a huge win over Sussex Central in their semifinal matchup, Benny. They're heading to Delaware Stadium on Friday night. They now take an overall record of 9-3, and they're going to go up against the top seed who had a tough path to get to the state championship, and that was Sally's. They get the number 1 seed in Coach Deladon's inaugural season there. And, hey, what's your reward? You get Smyrna in the first round, and you get Middletown in the semis. But the Sows take care of business, a 41-40 win over Smyrna, one of the best games that I've ever called here in high school level in Delaware, and then a big win over Middletown last week. And they take an impressive record of 11-1 into this state championship. Oh, before we dive into this one, Benny, let's start with you in Cape Henlopen, a game you had the chance to call last week against Sussex Central at the Castle. Cape Henlopen going on the road. They've really got something going. They've kind of getting hot at the right time. They're playing really well right now. They get a big win.
Yeah, before I get to that, again, second year in a row, the number 2 seed doesn't make the state finals. I think you're already rewarded by winning your district by getting the automatic bid. I totally don't understand the automatic second seed, but it is what it is. Mm-hmm. Let's see if it goes a third year if they change it. But anyhow, Cape Henlopen's hot. Sussex Central, Cape hasn't beaten them since 2016. Wow. Much less on their field. I couldn't tell you the last time where they beat them at the Castle. They came out, drove the ball down the field, most of it Mark-I James, and punched one in early, and then they just stymied the wing T. I very rarely see this happen to a Sussex Central offense, but first half they just shut them down. Second half, Central was able to get a little bit going. They scored, they make it a game, and then you get down to 5 minutes and you got the 2-score lead, and now you have forced Sussex Central to do things they're not comfortable doing. 3 consecutive interceptions in the fourth quarter, 2 of them pick sixes.
That'll put it on ice.
It put it on ice big time. Cape, just look stat-wise, these two teams are pretty even. Stat-wise, you got Mark-I James as the big running back and he's Mr. Everything for Cape, and B.J. Alene is Mr. Everything for Salesianum. Like I said, if I'm their coaches, those two guys are not practicing, they're in bubble wrap all week, because I'm not losing that kind of guy for this championship game. I think if there's a difference in this game, it's the Sally's defense, just the way they play. Central tried to play them with 3 linebackers. Sally's going to play with 5 defensive backs.
And they've got some good ones.
Yeah, and they got some good ones. Tingle can spread the ball around, and he's going to have to spread the ball around. And I mean, I don't think they can go into this game saying, "Hey, Mark-I James is going to get us 200 yards and we're going to win this game." I think that's how they win. I just don't think they can go in saying this is how we're going to do it. They got to mix it up and be balanced in this game. Salesian has 2 good quarterbacks, and I don't know quite how he does them. I guess whoever has the hot hand.
Yeah.
Smyrna was every other series. They're not so much with these guys. Not great runners, but they're pretty good passers. And they run their offense pretty well. Line play is huge in this game. Huge. Whoever controls the trench is going to be huge in this game. This game could be our exciting game with points on the board and a lot of big plays. And also with the rain, turnovers are going to be huge.
Yeah, Benny, just for maybe all those that haven't paid attention to Cape Henlopen all year, a little bit of a 2-quarterback situation, at least throughout the season, right? You had Tingle and you had Scott. How did that situation kind of unfold late in the season, and what's kind of that scenario heading into this weekend?
Tingle's played the whole year.
No, he played the whole year.
Yeah, I was talking about Sally's has the duo.
Oh, excuse me, my bad.
Sally's has the duo. No, Tingle's been there all year. They do have Bren Scott, their tight end, did throw a touchdown pass this year. They do have some wrinkles in this offense. It's a short pass. He can throw the ball. He had a 35-yard fly pattern last week, but it's mostly a dink and dunk. Let the athletes be athletes in open space.
And now, Mike and Jay, let's talk about that Sally's quarterback situation. Excuse me, the 2 guys that we've seen. Stower, obviously the sophomore. We saw him last year as a freshman. And then Brady McBride, the junior, who kind of got the nod, I believe, a few games into the regular season. This year, we saw Stower come in relief in that first Middletown game, threw 5 passes. I think 4 of them were big plays. I think he threw 3 touchdowns in that game. And then Brady McBride kind of got the work all the way up until the Middletown game this past weekend. Once again, he fumbles early. They struggle to put some points on the board in the first few drives. They make the switch again. We see Stower come in and play a little bit more this past weekend. What do you guys expect to see with the quarterback scenario against Cape Henlopen? Do you think it'll be back to the junior Brady McBride, kind of whatever Coach Deladon's feeling, or just how you think about that offense, Jay?
He'll go with the hot hand. He'll see who has the better play at practice this week and probably go with that guy. That's how he's been doing it all year.
You're right. Yeah.
So I am not going to guess who the quarterback is. I'm sure I'll let Salesian do that. But, it wasn't the quarterback play that won that game. It was B.J. Alene who threw the touchdown pass.
That's right.
On a halfback. But the play of the game was B.J. Alene running down the fumble return. If that goes all the way, it's 14-3, and we got a different game.
Yeah, yep. I couldn't agree more.
He came from 15 yards behind and caught that guy at the 12. Middletown doesn't score on that drive at all. Changes the whole complexion of that game. So, to me, it's going to – I don't know which way he's going to go quarterback, but both quarterbacks can get the job done. And it'll be interesting to see how they play it. But B.J. Alene is the key for that Salesianum offense.
Yeah, you're right. And again, both of those quarterbacks very capable. We've seen both of them have success and wins, or help Sally's with some big wins throughout the season already, Mike.
I might be able to give you a little bit of a clue. I asked Gene Deldon for the starting lineup, and he listed at quarterback Ryan Stower or Brady McBride.
Well, there you have it. There you have it. The inside info.
I think we'll see them both.
And again, last time around, after that Middletown game, it was made a quarterback competition after that game against Middletown. That was kind of how they decided who would be the starter going forward. McBride, I believe, won that competition then. Well, it's right back open this week. We'll see, and maybe we'll see both of them on Saturday. Again, both of those guys have had great years, so we'll see which one lines up for Salesianum against Cape Henlopen. But you guys talked about it, B.J. Aline and Markai James. That's going to be kind of the two guys that we are focused in on. Like, what else are you focused in besides that, or that could be a big part of this game?
I'm watching that Salesianum defensive line. They sacked Austin Troyer 7 times, and they hurt him a bunch of other times. They were all over, more over marks than Tiberia. Tiberia had a great game against them last week. And I know Smyrna's system, I'd have left Tiberian the whole time, but I'm not coaching. But they had dominated on the line in the postseason between the guys up front, Andrew Semmel, R.J. Johnson, Ahmad Foster. Those three were just incredible last week. And then you got, guys in the back, Lucas Ryan and Ziegler and Nick Strzelowski. They have L.J. Smith. They hate to just forget people. But
I was going to say, they've got so many weapons
there's
on
so many
defense.
guys on defense. Casale had a big interception last week at the end of the game. Just it all starts for them up front. And if they can push the Cape Henlopen line around the way they did the last couple of games, it could be a long night for Tingle. I don't know how big the Cape line is. I didn't get a chance to see Cape this year, but I know they got some big kids. Well, that Sal's defense has just been really, really impressive. When you go watch Salesianum, you're watching B.J. Aline most of the time, but their line is really good. And I know there's some doubts coming in this year about how good the line would be, but they've been really, really good.
Yeah, and again, offense though also not a problem for Salesianum. We talked about the quarterbacks and B.J. Aline. You'll see they got a great receiving core tight end, Hunter Ballant, Lucas Ryan, Anton Newman with a big touchdown catch for them last week off of the hands of B.J. Aline.
Before you go to Glenn, one thing about the Sally's defense is you got to be worried about that 40 points by Smyrna in the first round of the state tournament. Obviously, Cape's going to be watching that film, and what did they do to be able to? I think they're the only team that scored over 20-something.
Yeah, I think it was.
Dover at 27.
Right.
I think that was the previous high.
That game, a lot of quick hitters right in that game. And again, they were getting them the ball, short to intermediate routes across the middle of the field, 5 to 7 yards. Let those guys make plays, wide receiver screens, just yards after the catch was big for Smyrna in that game.
Against Smyrna, they let
Phoenix Enriquez.
They played him one-on-one, which I'm not a football expert, but just boggled my mind, and they just kept going right to him over and over again. There are a couple other guys, so they made some changes, obviously, against Middletown, another talented team. So, but you're right, Glenn, or Penny. That's they're watching all that video.
And the thing of the difference, at least for me, Glenn, between the Smyrna game and last week's game for Salesianum was that pass rush. Mike talked about it. 7 sacks for that Salesianum defense. The 3 guys you mentioned, I believe, had all 7 of them in some combination there. But Smyrna was able to get the ball out early, didn't really have to deal with that pass rush. They had a little bit more success. But last week, again, they got after him. Troyer was on the run constantly in that game, and the defense was fantastic. 7 sacks for Salesianum. What do you see being the big key in this one?
I take a look at all 3 of these matchups and look at 1A. You got 2 programs that have never played at Delaware Stadium. It's a new thing for them. 2A, both of those teams have been there before, and recently. Obviously, Caravel the last couple of years, and Archmere too. These 2 teams, of course, Cape, they haven't played in a championship game since 1984. None of those players have ever been at Delaware Stadium to play a game, and Salesianum's the same because they haven't been there since 2018. There's no edge there. The weather's going to be sloppy. It looks like about an 80% chance of rain, winds in double digits. Ball protection, Benny talked about it. You can't, win the turnover battle. You got to protect the football. And then it comes down to 2 running backs who've just been special. In the postseason, B.J. Aline, 315 rushing yards, 7 touchdowns, and he's passed for 1. And Mark-I James, 352 yards rushing in the 2 games, 5 touchdowns in the playoffs, and a pick 6. Those 2 guys are the keys. It's going to be who's the X factor for the 2 teams. Is it going to be the quarterbacks for the – I think we're going to see them both for Salesianum. Somehow we're going to see Storr and McBride in the ball game. I can't see one of them playing the whole time.
Maybe see B.J. Aline throwing the ball.
You will see that.
I'll take
definitely.
the odds on that. I think he
direct
throws
snaps.
at least 1 pass. I'm saying that right now. We will throw at least 1 pass in the championship game.
I'm
this
sure.
Friday night. And McBride, we talked about it more. Really can use his legs. Storr maybe more of the pocket passer, gets rid of the ball a little bit quicker. We're going to see them both most likely. And again, the big one, Mark-I James versus B.J. Aline. Both of those guys, maybe the 2 best running backs for their teams all season long. It's going to be a fun one. Star's going to be on full display this weekend, all across the board in Class 1A, 2A, and 3A. So
one interesting point.
Absolutely.
My first year of broadcasting was 1979. I broadcast that Cape Henlopen State Championship game when they won against Cesar Rodney, and they played the game at Lake Forest High School. That was my first year.
What stands out to you if you have to go back right here just quick? What stands out about that game, baby? What has changed?
I do have a memory of that game, very vivid memory. Cape was leading by 1 possession late in the first half, and they ran the hook and lateral. And they scored that touchdown with less than 20 seconds to go in the half and carried that momentum in the second half and dominated the game. That play changed the whole complexion of the ball game.
Glenn, it's hard to believe they played at high schools, and it wasn't all that long. I mean, Sussex Central was hosted, Glasgow.
Well, they started out, they used to play at the University of Delaware back in the 70s, and there was some damage done one year, and they went away from it for a while. But Glenn, in 1979, while you were broadcasting that game, I was a sophomore in high school.
Yeah, okay.
Nick, what were you doing in 1979?
Oh, man, who knows? Just figuring out life. So, again, if Coach Frederick, maybe he's listening, maybe he'll break out the hook and ladder for you. Some nostalgia in the championship game, years and years later. We'll find out. We're going to take our final break. We'll come back, put a bow on everything before we head out of here at Buffalo Wild Wings Middletown. Big championship weekend around the corner. We'll be right back.
Wraps, signs, banners, and promotional items that can help your business stand out from the rest. Looking for an excellent way to convey a professional image? Customized promotional products are the perfect way to target new customers, increase employee retention, and boost your brand awareness. Let the professionals at Cassidy Graphics bring your advertising ideas to life. Give them a call today at 302-326-2412. Again, that number is 302-326-2412. Again, Cassidy Graphics brings your advertising ideas to life. Wraps, signs, banners, and promotional items that can help your business stand out from the rest. Looking for an excellent way to convey a professional image? Customized promotional products are the perfect way to target new customers, increase employee retention, and boost your brand awareness. Let the professionals at Cassidy Graphics bring your advertising ideas to life. Give them a call today at 302-326-2412. Again, that number is 302-326-2412. Again, Cassidy Graphics brings your advertising ideas to life. Wraps.
Championship week here on DLS, and welcome back to the Buffalo Wild Wings Middletown. Nick Alessadrini, Glenn Frazier, Mike Lang, Jason Winchell, and Benny Mitchell. The Wednesday, just about 48 hours away from kickoff on things on Friday night. It all gets started again with your unified flag football championship game between Cesar Rodney and Newark Charter, followed by your Class 3A championship game between Cape Henlopen and Salesianum. That will then be back early on Saturday at 12 o'clock for your Class 1A championship between the Charter Force of Wilmington and, of course, your Tatnall Hornets. And then rounding it all out, it'll be Saturday, I believe, at 2 o'clock to finish everything. Or excuse me, 3 o'clock to finish everything off. Will be Archmere and Caravel. So big-time matchups coming around. It's going to be a fun weekend. Benny, what matchup are you looking forward to the most here as we get ready 48 hours away from championship weekend?
Well, obviously the unified game is going to be fun to watch. It always is. Very
rematch,
exciting.
Baby, rematch.
Yeah. And last year, just the way it went down last year, the game was over, standing around. All of a sudden, the Caesar Rodney kids are losing their minds. They're running all over the place, and we had no clue how they won or why they won. We had it as a tie, and it was a lot of fun to watch. But just a high flying game. But my football game is going to be 2A. It's the one where I think, because I don't think there's an upset between Cape and Size. I think they're too much alike. There may be a higher and lower seed, but they're too much alike to say there's an upset. 2A, I think is the best chance to be a big upset because you're going to knock off possibly an undefeated team. And not an undefeated team, a team that's only lost one game in the last 25. That would be 26 games. So, they're coming in 24-1. And with this Archmere team, they're no joke. Archmere is my green version of Wilmington Friends. They don't make a lot of mistakes. They play very disciplined, and they make a lot out of the little they got. They're very small enrollments, and when small enrollments, you don't get 30 athletes like that. The Friends, and even Caravel, because they're a small school too. They make a lot out of what little they got, and I just think this is I said this could be the overtime game. This could be the 0-0. Game and go into overtime. I hope it is. We need something. We need something exciting. I'm disappointed that it's not an all-day Saturday event. I really enjoyed doing that.
Me too.
But it is what it is. Friday night, Saturday night. I got the game Friday, but I'm really looking forward to that 2A.
That's going to be a battle. Mike, Jason, we'll start with you. What game are you looking forward to the most this weekend?
I'm with Benny. The unified. To get us started. I think that's going to be great. But if I had to pick, I'd probably lean 3A right now. Just because like Benny said, two evenly matched teams going at it. Probably two of the better running backs in 3A playing. Head to head, possible weather, all kinds of different factors going into that game. I think that's going to make that game very exciting on Friday night.
Gonna be a good one, Mike. You leading something similar there?
Well, I am looking forward to that 3A game. I think that's going to be a lot of fun. For a lot of the same reasons that I'm interested to see. To me, this is become one of the best rivalries in the state. Salesianum and Cape Henlopen. This is the fifth sport in this calendar year between Sally in the championship. It's Sally's and Cape. They met in the wrestling, lacrosse, boys volleyball, soccer, and now football. Wow. So I know everybody talks about Sally's dominating everything. Cape's right there. Yeah. They are right there in a lot of these sports just as well. I think it's going to be fun. Two of these schools that are playing, other than charter, the biggest schools there. I'm hoping for a huge crowd on Friday night, even with the weather. So I think it's going to be a lot of fun. And also, I'm looking for the other games as well. I don't want these other four schools to think I'm not, because I'm really excited. I think I'm doing that 1A game. That should be a lot of fun. So just to see Le Mans against the Force, everybody's looking at Rashawn. Well, maybe something else happens in that game. But for me right now, it's that Cape Sally's game I'm going to have a little extra interest in.
Again, Glenn, over to you. What game are you looking forward to maybe the most? We've got three great ones. You heard about a few already. Which one, though, are you zeroing in on?
Probably 3A, because I have not seen Cape Henlopen live this year, and I just can't figure out, can't put my finger on what happened. Who flipped the switch? When was it? It might have been that Smyrna win in the regular season. I think once they had that mentality that we can win, and we can play with anybody, then they saw Smyrna beat Sussex Central in the last game of the regular season and said, hey, well, we beat Smyrna, we can beat Sussex Central. They proved it against Dover. They proved it against the Golden Knights in the Castle. I'm looking forward to seeing them and see how they match up with Salesianum, and hopefully they can stick with them, and hopefully we have 3 or 4 really close ball games for the fans.
That's the plan. That's what we're hoping for. And again, also Cape C and Smyrna and Sally's 41-42 just a few weeks ago. So again, should be a battle For me, I'm going to go 1A with Charter and Tatnall Le Mans. And I've had a chance to just see him and that team grow for Tatnall over the years. And the Force with that defense and the way they've been playing, I think it's going to be two contrasting styles going at it on Saturday early afternoon. And I'm just eager to see which one reigns supreme in that matchup between that Force from the Charter defense and that Tatnall offense with Rayshawn Le Mans. So I think we're in store for four fantastic matchups.
Yeah, and plus, Nick, talking about that 1A game, it'll be the first ever football championship for either school. Of course, Tatnall's been around a lot longer than Wilmington Charter, but again, first time ever for either one.
We'll give them the old Wilmington Red Devils.
There you go. They won in 71.
First one, yeah.
Dick, just so you know, the distance between Missoula, Montana, and Wilmington, Delaware is approximately 2,350 miles. I don't know how the internet is in Missoula, but I imagine if you get a chance, you'll be tuning in on the NFHS.
Sure, starting on Friday.
And remember, I say this every year during broadcast, any team that's depending on their kicker, they're not changing the goalpost at the University of Delaware this weekend. It's going to be more narrow.
Yeah.
Yep. It's going to be like 15.
That's a good point.
As opposed to 20-something.
That's going to be a fun. I'm sure all
I think it's like a 9-foot difference.
I think all these student athletes are excited to get and play on Delaware Stadium for the first time. Yeah, I'll be
the
tuning in on
scoreboard
Friday.
there and everything, right?
Yep, giant big new scoreboard. I believe they changed the color of the blue head in the middle this year. For the first, it used to be that light blue. Now they've upgraded it to the darker blue. So everything's ready to rock for Saturday and Friday night inside the University of Delaware.
Did you leave us any food in the press box?
All kinds. That's right. Whatever they got up there, there's a cooler up there for you guys with your name on it. But as we any closing words here as we head out to championship weekend. Anything else? Benny, where can everybody catch the action, I should say?
The NFHS Network. Best way to do is to Google DIAA, look for upcoming events, or if you're running a little late, live events. It is a subscription site, but it is a legitimate subscription site. I think it's $10 a month. You can cancel it after your first month.
Did you get all the state championships?
And you get every state championship from every state. So if you're a beach person like Cape and Lopin, you can go back and check out Steve Decatur's state championship game this week as well. That also is an NFHS Network game. And plus, when you get the NFHS Network, you get all the wrestling. It'll punch you right into track wrestling and flow.
There you go. Cannot beat that. And you can, again, catch all of that state championship action on the NFHS Network this weekend. Jason, closing words as we get ready to crown some more champions here this fall.
No, I think we're going to see 4 really good games and exciting action all weekend long at University of Delaware.
Going to be fun, Mike. Looking forward to it?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I know that all day we've had the past couple of years, it is fun. It's a long.
See if we can get some Malin's cheesesteaks on Friday and a Saturday.
It's a long day,
tougher.
so
it's going to be tougher now.
Yeah, I hope it's a big stadium for high school. I think Friday's going to draw really well. I hope these schools, some smaller schools, but I hope the fans come out. And not just if you're a fan of those schools. If you're a fan of high school sports, come on out and support them on Saturday. They deserve it. If you haven't seen them play, this is some pretty good football teams that you're going to be able to see on Saturday. And obviously Friday night's the bigger schools, Cape and Sallies, they're both going to show up. So should be a good weekend in Newark.
It's going to be a fun one. Glenn, we're back. I guess it'll be considered early December. We're a week earlier than we're used to being there. The second week of December. December 1st and December 2nd. Going to be some fun games. Looking forward to the call. No
repeat champions from last year, with the exception of Unify. But no repeat champions in the tackle football games. 1A, 2A, 3A will be a new champ this year. And I can't remember the last time that's happened.
Yeah.
And neither can we.
Yeah.
It's going to be a fun one. 4 fantastic matchups. You can catch it all on the NFHS Network, powered by Delaware Live Sports. Just again to reiterate, Friday night it gets started with the Unified game, followed by your Class 3A championship between Sallies and Cape Henlopen. And then Saturday, 12 o'clock, it'll be your Class 1A championship between Tatnall and Charter. And then 3 o'clock, it'll be your championship between Caravel and Archmere. 4 great matchups, again, all on the NFHS Network. Well, that'll do it for all of us here on a Wednesday night. Again, just 48 hours away from kickoff on Friday at Delaware Stadium. So for Glenn Frazier, Mike Lang, Jason Mitchell, Benny Mitchell, and Nick Halliday on the other side of the camera here at Buffalo Wild Wings Middletown. Again, a special shout out to all of our sponsors. And again, fun just around the corner. Make sure you tune into all those games. And as Mike said, get out there to Delaware Stadium if you can and check out these phenomenal football teams. Well, I'll do it for us this week, and we will see you this weekend.
And now there's one news outlet where our story is told. Delaware Live. Locally owned, community-based news. Free to every reader, because Delaware's future belongs to all of us. Quality journalism we can trust to help us take on the day. Delaware Live. Our state,